Hello students and warm greetings of the day. In this lecture we are going to study how to calculate the probabilities of different events that occur in our day-to-day life. But why are we so interested in studying this topic? This is because it is an important tool that helps us to make decisions. It gives us a better understanding of how to choose between options. It is applied in risk assessment, in trading on commodity markets where the analyst predicts the prices of the commodities in the futures market. Reliability theory is used in product designing to reduce the probability of failure. Probability is used in information theory and signal processing. It is used in studying the models of population growth and communication networks. Thus we see that there are diverse applications of probability. So let's discover this fascinating world of probability which enable people to be better decision makers. So let's begin. Now before we define this term probability, let us try to see an example. If I say that it may rain today, now does it mean for surety that it will rain today? No, it's not for sure. It may or it may not rain. Now one can say there's a 50-50 chance of raining or not raining. Now if I say it's a sunny day, then may it rain? Yes, definitely it can rain. The weather can change and it can rain again. The chances of raining become low. So it might be a 25-75% chance of raining and not raining. Thus the event of raining is not a certain event. It may or it may not happen. Now, what is probability? Probability, when defined in the simplest way, is a chance of occurring of a certain event when expressed quantitatively. That is, probability is a quantitative measure of the certainty. Now let's consider the same event, that it's about to rain. Now it can rain and it cannot rain today. Now the quantitative measure of the certainty of raining is known as probability of raining. And the quantitative measure of the certainty of not raining is again the probability of not raining. So once again we can say that probability is the quantitative measure of the certainty of a certain event to happen. So what is probability? Probability is the mathematical measurement of the certainty of any event to happen or not happen. Now before we further go into this chapter, there's some important things to remember. The first is dice. Now what is a dice? A die is a small cube used in games of chance. I'm really very sure you must have played Snakes and Ladder, Monopoly and many other games that use a die. So a dice is a small cube used in games of chance. The outcome of throwing a die is the number of dots on its uppermost face. Now if I consider this die, there are 5 dots on the uppermost surface of this dice. So the outcome is 5. For this dice the outcome is 2. An ace on a die means 1 dot. So if 1 dot appears on the uppermost surface, then it is known as an ace. So a die is a small cube used in the games of chance. Now we are going to use dice very frequently in this chapter. The second is playing cards. Now everyone knows what are playing cards. A pack of playing cards has 52 cards divided into 4 suits. That is the spades, clubs, hearts and diamonds. So this is an ace of spade, this is a king of heart, this is a queen of spade again, this is a jack of diamond. And there's also one suit known as the club. Thus a pack of playing cards has 52 cards and these are divided into 4 suits: spades, clubs, hearts and diamonds. Now each suit has got 13 cards, 9 cards numbered 2 to 10, an ace, a king, a queen and a jack or knave. So we can say each suit has got 13 cards, 9 cards are the numbered cards, that is from 2 to 10, and the remaining 4 cards are an ace, a king, a queen and a jack. Spades and clubs are black faced cards while hearts and diamonds are red faced cards. The kings, queens and jacks are called the court cards or the face cards. So jack, queen and king are called as the court cards. Thus once again a pack of 52 cards has got 4 suits, that is spades, clubs, hearts and diamonds. Each suit has got 13 cards, 9 cards are numbered and the remaining 4 are ace, king, queen and a jack. Spades and clubs are the black face cards while hearts and diamonds are the red face cards. And finally the kings, queens and the jacks are called as the court cards. So there's some very important terms and concepts which we need to understand. The first is random experiment. Now it is an experiment whose outcome cannot be predicted with certainty. As the word suggests, it is a random experiment whose outcome cannot be predicted with certainty. We cannot be sure of the outcome of that experiment. For example, throwing an unbiased dice. Now if I throw a dice, the outcomes that are possible are 1, 2, 5, 6, 3 and 4. Now I cannot predict which number is going to appear on the dice. So it is a random experiment. Tossing of a coin. Now again this is a random experiment because we do not know for sure whether it's going to be heads or it's going to be tails. Another example could be drawing or picking a card from a set of packed cards. So these all are examples of a random experiment. The second is sample space and sample points. So the set of all possible outcomes of a random experiment is called as the sample space, and it is denoted by S. Now every possible outcome, that is every element of this set, is a sample point. So we can say that sample space is the set of all the possible outcomes of any random experiment. This set is known as a sample space, and every possible outcome, that is every element in this set, is called as a sample point. For example, if I toss a coin, now the possible sample space would be heads or tails. So it could either appear a head or it could appear a tail. So head and tail is the sample space. Anything beyond heads and tails is not possible. So S is H, T, where H is head and T is tail. Now when two coins are tossed simultaneously, then what are the outcomes? Either it could appear heads, or it could be head tail, or it could be tail head, or it could be tail tail. So these are the four possible outcomes, and the set of all these four outcomes is known as a sample space. Now each of these is a sample point. That is, this is an element, this is an element, this is an element, and this is an element of the sample space S. So the set of all possible outcomes of a random experiment is known as the sample space and is denoted by S, and every possible outcome of such a set is known as a sample point. The third is trial. The performance of an experiment is called as a trial, and the outcomes are called as the cases. The number of times the experiment is repeated is called as the number of trials. So if I toss a coin, now this is the performance of an experiment, that is tossing of a coin, and so it is called as a trial. And if it is a head or it is a tail, this is called as the case. The case one could be, it could appear a head or it could appear a tail. So I'm sure the distinction between a trial and a case is clear. Now I may toss a coin twice, thrice, 4 times, 10 times, 20 times and so on. And so the number of times the experiment is repeated is called as the number of trials. The fourth is event. Now what is an event? The possible outcomes of a random experiment are termed as events, and it is a subset of a sample space. For example, when a coin is tossed, the outcome of getting a head or tail is an event. Event is nothing but the possible outcomes of any random experiment. So if we toss a coin, it could appear a head or it could appear a tail. So head or tail is an event. Event 1 could be appearance of head and event 2 could be appearance of tail. Now the bifurcations of events could be simple events, compound events, equally likely events, independent events, mutually exclusive events, exhaustive events. One by one we are going to see different kinds of events. The first is a simple event. Now in the case of simple events, we consider the probability of happening or not happening of single events. So we consider a single event and we try to consider the probability of happening of that event or not happening of that event. So for example, if I say that we are interested in finding out the probability of drawing an ace from a pack of cards. So drawing of an ace from a pack of cards is a simple event. The second is compound event. Now in the case of compound event, we consider the joint occurrence of 2 or more events. Earlier in the simple event, we considered only a single event and we were interested in calculating the probability of occurrence of that single event. But in compound events, we consider the joint occurrence of 2 or more events. For example, the occurrence of an odd number when a dice is thrown. Now if I say that I am interested in knowing the occurrence of an odd number when a dice is thrown, possible outcomes are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And out of these possible outcomes, 1, 3 and 5 are the instances when an odd number is occurring. So this set 1, 3, 5 is a compound event. The third type of event is equally likely events. The events are said to be equally likely if there is no reason to expect any one event in preference to other. Thus, equally likely events mean outcome is likely to occur as any other outcome. So, say that there are 2 events and there is no such reason to expect the occurrence of one event in preference to the other event, then such a case is known as equally likely event. Example, if I throw an unbiased dice, then in throwing such a die, all the 6 faces are equally likely to occur. That is, it may appear a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5 or a 6. That is to say, there is no such reason to expect 1 or 2 or 3 in preference to the other numbers. Thus all these 6 faces are equally likely to occur. So this is an equally likely event. Another example could be if I toss a coin, then it may appear a head or it may appear a tail. Again, these are equally likely events. The next is independent events. The two events are said to be independent if the occurrence of one does not depend on the occurrence of the other. So as the word suggests, independent events are such events in which the occurrence of one does not depend on the occurrence of the other. Now we are going to study independent events in detail in later part. What are mutually exclusive events? In an experiment, if the occurrence of an event precludes or rules out the happening of all other events in the same experiment, then such events are known as mutually exclusive events. That is to say, if we are performing an experiment, then if one particular event occurs, then all other events are not going to occur. So the occurrence of any one event rules out the happening of all other events in the same experiment. If we say that E1, E2, E3 and so on up to En are mutually exclusive events, then E1 intersection E2 intersection E3 and so on up to the intersection of En would be equal to 5. That is a null set. These are mutually exclusive events, then the intersection of these events is equal to 0 or a null set. The next is exhaustive events. What are exhaustive events? It is a total number of all possible outcomes of any trial. So the total number of all the possible outcomes of any trial or any such experiment is known as exhaustive events. For example, when a coin is tossed, either head or tail may turn up, and therefore there are two exhaustive cases. If two coins are tossed simultaneously, then the possible outcomes are head tail, tail head, tail tail, and so this would be equal to 2 square. So there are 4 possible outcomes. If 3 coins are tossed simultaneously, then the possible outcomes are head head head, head head tail, head tail head, tail head head, tail tail head, head tail tail, tail head tail, and tail tail tail, and this would be equal to 2 cube. That is, there are 8 possible outcomes for this experiment. Similarly, when 3 dice are thrown simultaneously, then the possible outcomes are 6 cube. And so exhaustive events are nothing but they are the total number of all possible outcomes of any trial.